Hey, welcome to the Explainer. You know, talking about the future in English, it seems like it should be pretty simple, right? But it's actually a bit of a puzzle. We have a few different ways to do it, and picking the right one is what makes all the difference. So let's solve that puzzle together. So picture this. You see someone struggling with something. You want to offer to help. Do you say, I will help you, or do you say, I'm going to help you? I mean, they both sound correct, don't they? And they are. But they carry slightly different feelings, a different subtext. And that tiny difference is exactly what we're going to break down today. And here's our roadmap. We're going to look at our three main tools for talking about the future: will, shall, and going to. We'll see how they stack up against each other, flag a couple of common mistakes to watch out for, and then wrap it all up with a simple toolkit you can start using right away. Okay, let's dive in with our first tool, will. Think of this as your go-to for anything that's, well, spontaneous. It's for things that pop into your head, the promises you make, and the predictions you offer right on the spot with zero prior planning. So the first big job for will is making predictions. But here's the catch. These are the kinds of predictions that are based more on a personal belief, a gut feeling, not on hard evidence that you can see right in front of you. For example, saying, I think it will rain tomorrow. You're not saying that because you're looking at dark clouds outside your window right now. It's just a personal thought, an opinion about the future. For that kind of belief-based prediction, will is absolutely perfect. And that brings us to the other superpower of will: pure spontaneity. It is the perfect word for those decisions, offers, and promises that you make right there, in the heat of the moment, with no pre-planning whatsoever. This little back and forth is a classic example. Person A just states a fact. It's gold. Person B hadn't planned to do anything about it, but makes an instant decision to help. That on-the-spot offer, I'll close the window, that's will in its natural habitat. All right, on to our next tool, shall. Now, this one's a bit more specialized. It's a little more formal, a little more polite, and you're going to hear it a lot more in British English, especially when someone wants to make a suggestion. The key thing to get about shall is that it isn't really about making a command or a statement. It's more like an invitation to collaborate. You're asking for an opinion, usually in a question with I or we, to see if everyone's on the same page. Just listen to the difference in tone. If I say, we will start the meeting now, it sounds like an order, right? But if I say, shall we start the meeting now? See? It completely transforms it into a polite, inclusive suggestion that's asking for agreement. That's the unique job that shall does so well. Now for our third tool, be going to. So if will is for all things spontaneous, going to is pretty much its exact opposite. This is your go-to phrase for the future when you already have a plan, a pre-planned blueprint, or you have clear evidence for what's coming. The first key function of going to is to talk about plans that already exist. This means the decision was made before the conversation even started. It's not a new idea, it's a settled intention. When you hear this, you know the speaker didn't just dream this up. The plan was probably made yesterday, or maybe last week. If it had been a spur-of-the-moment decision, they might have said, you know what, I will visit my parents this weekend. The use of going to tells us the plan was already on the books. So, beyond plans, going to has another very important job: making predictions based on solid evidence. Remember how will was for belief-based predictions? Well, going to is for when you can see, hear, or feel the reason for your prediction, right here and now. So let's look at an evidence-based prediction in two parts. First, you step outside. You look up at the sky, and this is what you see. So the logical conclusion you make isn't, I think it will rain. It's going to rain. You're not just guessing, you're making a prediction based on the clear evidence that is right in front of you. Okay, let's put this all together, because let's be honest, the biggest point of confusion is almost always between will and going to. But I promise, seeing them side by side like this makes the distinction crystal clear. This table right here, this is your ultimate cheat sheet. For decisions, you see the split: will is spontaneous, decided right now. Going to is pre-planned, decided before now. And it's the exact same split for predictions. Will is based on a belief or opinion. Going to is based on present evidence. It's the difference between a sudden, Oh, I'll get a glass of water. And a planned out. I'm going to visit my aunt. We're almost there. Now that we've got the rules down, let's just quickly look at a couple of common mistakes. Avoiding these is really the final step to polishing your future tense and sounding that much more precise. Here's that evidence rule in action. Because you've stated the evidence out loud, it's cloudy. The natural logical conclusion is it's going to rain. Saying it will rain isn't technically the end of the world, but it just sounds a bit disconnected, like you're stating a general belief and ignoring the very clouds you just pointed out. Going to connects the dots. And here's the pre-planned rule. That phrase, "I've decided earlier," that's the big clue right there. It's basically shouting that this was not a spontaneous choice. So, because the plan was made in the past, "I'm going to move" is the natural, correct way to say it. And there you have it, your complete future toolkit all wrapped up. You use will for those spontaneous decisions and general beliefs, you use going to for your pre-made plans and predictions based on evidence, and you pull out shall when you want to make a polite, formal suggestion. 3 tools, each with its own clear job. And that brings us to the end. You have the blueprint, you've got the examples, you have the complete toolkit. So now the only question left is, when you think about your own future, your spontaneous hopes, and your concrete plans, how will you talk about it? Thanks for watching.